Welcome to Happy Hour, Whiskey Business, Episode 3. We've covered in Episode 1, whiskey in general. That was a bit of a long one. Good job getting through that. Last time, I just kind of talked about some bourbons that I like. Moving around the shelf, for me, trying out different things. If there's one thing I was able to do over the past weird year and a half is kind of like, I don't know, weren't going out to restaurants as much, so I tried to try new things in my own home. So I got to sample a few different types of whiskey I'd never had before. Like I talked about Elijah Craig. I just had never had that before this past year. And I ended up talking to you about Weller's, maybe not super articulately, but it's just, I don't know, just sometimes you have a beverage and it just sticks with you. And that was one of them. One thing I thought worthy of talking about, especially in this culture that we have right now, of you either need to be a billion years old and we'll talk about you there, or you're the hot new thing, right? But as a Gen Xer, there are some whiskeys that came out that were the first to, for me, and probably a lot of people my age, introduce us to the idea of craft, thoughtfully distilled and aged whiskeys that now probably kind of get the, oh, whatever, you know. I can think about, in Portland, I can think about some brands and like of various beverages. I don't want to get specific or anything, that the populace at large is like poo-pooing that in favor of the thing that is new, and the newer is better and all this stuff. But I always say, though that may be true, developments have been made, and people are trying new things and getting better at their craft. I think it's worthwhile to take a moment and look at the OGs who kicked the door open for everyone else. Because without these brands coming out and their process of making a quality product and their marketing and all this stuff, we wouldn't really be talking about all these other brands. And I can kick that all the way back to the Jim Beam. You know, Jack Daniel's is not a technically classified as a bourbon, but you know, sure, like they've been around forever. But like I'm talking about the first wave of craft, quote unquote, distilleries. So, and brands. We know these well. Maker's Mark. It's at every bar. It's at every bar for a reason. For my money, a little bit sweeter than what I'm looking for, but not worth any hating. That's for sure. Another brand that I think you would agree maybe isn't getting its just desserts would be Knob Creek. Knob Creek is a fine bourbon. In fact, I just out of for my own edification, I guess, grabbed a bottle of this recently, and it was like, you know what? It totally holds up. It's totally worth revisiting, and it's totally worth not dismissing. And of course, I don't know if it's ever stopped being cool, but like these were the big three that for me, this being the first bourbon that I understood to be good, you know, fancy drinking, Knob Creek, and then Woodford's was the next on my radar. I would probably say all delicious. I would probably land here. The Woodford's Reserve. We could try to get that glare off the bottle. How's that? But all of these 100% worth revisiting. But I want to focus on the fourth, which was to me the first time I feel like when I was younger, I was having a really nice whiskey drink. And recently I went camping and I brought a bottle of Basil Hayden. This is Basil Hayden, in case you can't read that, along with me. And it started raining. And the next morning, all of this packaging had kind of melted away. So I was left with just this naked bottle of brown water. And there's something about it, it felt like, oh yeah, someone made this. And in revisiting it, I've been, just pleased. I've actually gone back to the well a couple of times, because this is one, like those brands I was talking about earlier, you kind of like snooze on, right? Totally worth a revisit. It has been, they've been making this whiskey since George Washington was president. Not bad. Not a bad move. And I'm sure that they know what they're doing. In fact, I know they know what they're doing. It's 80 proof, so it's not going to knock your socks off like some of the higher proof stuff, which like the Wellers we had is a little bit, a little bit spicy. You got to watch yourself. I mean, you should watch yourself no matter what you're drinking, but so this is a little bit smoother, a little bit easier, and it's made with more rye than most of the bourbons. Let me grab a glass here. So this has a much lighter color than the Wellers. The Wellers almost has that burnt orange color. This is a little bit lighter. I'll hold that closer. Might not be in focus, but you'll get an idea. It's got legs, just like wine. Love it. And yeah, just even just on the nose, it's a. I don't mean this as a diss to the Wellers because I recommended it, but it's even smoother to smell it because it's lower ABV. And let's have a sip. I think what I like about this is there's certain aspects of it that are kind of akin to a Scotch. I'm not talking about the peaty Scotches. Not there's some people who are like, oh, I don't like Scotch, and I think the people who are, oh, I don't like Scotch is because they kind of can't handle the peaty notes. But what I do love about it is that there's an earthiness to it, and this is definitely not official whiskey language, but when it hits your palate, there's a spread. There's not an overwhelming sweetness, but it's down there. It's here, but then there's like kind of a crispness up here. I don't know how to explain it, but if we're talking about sound, it would be like the EQ scoop would be like low end, then you go down in the mids and then up in the highs, but not too high. Everything's kind of like generally muted in this experience. So this is not a sip and wow, but it's like over the course of the glass, you just kind of realize that, I don't know, you're getting like that cinnamony flavor. It's just one of the great old school whiskeys, in my opinion, worthy of consideration, even though it's been with us for a minute. Don't snooze on the Basil Haydens. It's a good drink. This has been Happy Hour, brought to you by Maine Spirits. You can learn more about Basil Hayden's and many other whiskeys at mainspirits.com. You can download their app for your smartphone, which is a smart move. What to buy, where to buy it, and what to do with it once you get it. You can follow them on Instagram at Maine_spirits. But as always, we implore you to drink deliciously and responsibly.